In this video, I'm going to show you how to install the 360 cameras for an RSNav S4. If you need to see how to install the RSNav itself, I made a separate video for that, so just check out my YouTube channel. You can see the video for that. So the 360 cameras come with the ultimate package of the S4. If you buy the Pro, you do not get these. So with the ultimate, you obviously get 4 cameras. They're right here. The round ones are for the side, so they get installed in the side mirrors of the car, and then the other 2 square ones are for the front and back. You'll get a little package with grommets, screws, and the hole saw, so you can install it in the doors. And then obviously you get your cables to run to the RSNav. So the black one is for the front, red is left, blue is right, and then the yellow is for the rear. So the way that these cameras work, you have to install obviously 4 cameras on your car. One will have to be installed on the front of the grille. The other 2 will be installed right underneath here on your side view mirrors, one on the left, one on the right side, and then the final one will have to be installed in the back on the tailgate. Now, my Q7 obviously already comes with a backup camera and a front camera. So when I replaced this grill with an aftermarket one, this is a honeycomb grill and it's aftermarket. The aftermarket ones don't come with anything to mount the stock camera. So here's the stock camera. That's what came with the car. And then you get this other piece right here. And then this goes and clips into the front of the stock grill. And then this piece is behind it. And then these 2 just screw together. So if you do have one of these on your car, it looks pretty easy. Like, it will be very easy to modify it and make the RSNav camera fit. You'll have to essentially remove the 2 screws that are in the back, take this out, disconnect the stock camera, and then you can probably use one of these, this one. It looks like it will fit for the most part. It looks like the hole is exactly the same size, but it doesn't go up to the front all the way. So if I was doing this route on my car, I would probably modify the back of it a little bit, cut out some of that plastic so that this camera can fit in it. And that would pretty much be a solution for the front. But because I don't have that option, I did what I did on my my other car, on the S5, which I already installed the 360 cameras on there, and I have the same honeycomb aftermarket grill. So I am going to use the same thing that I designed for that. I designed this myself and had it 3D printed. You can go to the end of the video. I can show you where to get it, and I've already shared this file with people, so it's already out there. So essentially I'm going to use this. I'm going to use the round camera, and then this just slides in from the back. It's being held by these tabs up top, and then this is kind of what it looks like. So I'll probably end up putting it in one of these holes behind the grill and just gluing it with a hot glue. So that should work out for me, and it has really worked out on the other car. That's exactly how I did it. I just did hot glue on the back of the grill, and so far it's been working well, no issues. Now, when we go to install the side cameras in the mirrors, you're going to install them right underneath here, and you have to pass the cables through the mirror, into the door, throughout the door, and then you have to come out in between the door jamb and then pass the cable through here. The problem is that inside of this, there's a connector. It's right here, and it plugs into the car right here. Sometimes you have room to pass that cable through there, and sometimes you don't. But it really would be ideal not to be passing just the cable, because if somebody ever has to remove this door, they're just going to cut off your cable, and then you're gonna have to figure out what to do with it after. When I did this on my S5, I was able to cut these cables, put pins on them, and then add these wires into the existing connectors. That way, if the doors will ever be removed, they're just going to unplug that stock connector and nobody will ever even know that there's a cable going through there that's aftermarket. Now, I've already checked out the Q7 and looked at how do the connectors look. On the left side, the problem is there is no free holes where I can add pins to the connector. On the right side though, there is. I've already looked into it and I've researched it and I've figured out what the pins are. So I'm going to use these contacts. On the right side, but on the left side, since I don't have any room, I found this connector. It's pretty small and I'm going to use it. It's got 4 pins or 4 positions. And the nice thing about this specific connector is that it uses the same exact pins that are used in the stock Audi connectors. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to then on the left side, since I don't have any more pins, I'm going to cut the cable and I'm going to pin it into this connector and then use this connector so that if the door ever needs to be removed, it can get disconnected. And I believe that there is enough room that I could stuff this in there into that rubber grommet. Okay, so I'm going to start with the installation of the cameras. I'm going to start with the front one. So obviously we want to open the hood. On top you have 2 clips that you want to remove, so right here. Okay, and then you want to grab this plastic piece right about here and start from the front. There's clips all around here. You want to lift those up and then slide it out. As in the back here, it goes underneath this metal piece. So just okay, and now this gives me room to put my hands in there and install the front camera. So what I'm going to do is use the 3D printed piece that I made and I've installed it on the camera. And I'm going to install this behind the grill, probably right about here. So with the design of this grill the way it is, this piece I had to grind away the actual grill itself just in the back. So I did it from the back so that there's a little bit more room in there. And the whole goal of this is so that when this is inserted into this eye, it was sitting in the back of the grill, and you could tell that most likely the grill would be in the vision of the camera. So I did grind away a little bit of it from the back, both up and down. That way when this gets inserted in there, it will kind of slide in and then it will stop on this lip that I left. Okay, so here we go. I've got the camera mounted, and if you look at from the side, you can see that the camera is pretty much flush with the front of the grill. That way it's going to get a good angle. Alright, now we're going to take the black cable and run it from the camera to the inside of the cabin. We're going to start over here. I'm going to take this off. This is just on clips, no screws. Get that out of the way. There's a hose underneath it, but now I'm going to connect the camera to the cable. Okay, so there's that camera cable that's just running up. I have it right here underneath the horn going along. And then on the other side right here it comes out, and I just have it running along some of the cables here. And now we're going to run this cable that's I've got it right here. I ran it under this foam piece right here. That's just foam and it just lifted up. It's not clipped in or screwed down. So I ran the cable underneath this cover. The cover is just on clips. There's a clip right here, and then so just lift up on that. I ran the cable right here around all that, and then I have it running towards the back of the relay box. So in order to see where we're going, I'm going to take down the panel that's under the driver feet, And we have 2 screws, so there's a Torx screw right here and another one right there. These are both T20, and the panel itself is just on clips, so just like that. Just be careful, there's a OBD port is right here, and then your foot lighting back there. Alright, so now that we look underneath, you can see I've stuck a screwdriver over here. You can see back there, there is a bundle of wires right there and a grommet, and that goes through the firewall. I poked a hole through that grommet as high as I could get. So now if we look on the other side, on the engine side, if you look, you can see that the screwdriver is sticking out right there, and that's where we're going to run the cable through. Okay, and here we go. Cable. So here's the camera cable that's pulled through, and on the engine side, cable is just running right here along the box towards the back, goes around, and then goes into that grommet. So first we want to take the door panel off the door. So first thing we have to do is take off the trim panel. Going to use your plastic pry tool. And then mine has the mood lighting underneath here, so you want to be careful on that. So you're just going to put it right at the end. Like that. So it's got just clips on the back. And then you want to be careful not to pry in the front, because the tabs that are here go into this. So if you pry it in, you're going to break them. So you always start in the back. Next thing we want to take off is this piece right here. There's a screw behind it, so to get to it, I'm going to start on the bottom. Go. You can just leave that hanging. You don't have to disconnect it. There's a screw there. Screw there. Next one, there's a screw underneath this rubber piece that's in the door handle. So that's not being held by anything. You just want to get it out of the way. So there's that screw. And then the final screw is underneath at the bottom of the door right there. All of these screws are T25. Okay, and now we're just going to pry on the panel starting from the bottom. And then on top right here, it goes into the door, so just pull up. On the side is this, just one single tab. The connector to the door module, we gotta press this little tab first so that we can lift the lever. Once you lift up on that, the connector slides out by itself. And then the door cable, you have it right back here where it needs to come out. Unclip, and then you can release that. So there's the door panel. Alright, next we're going to remove the glass on the mirror. So that's on clips. You want to start on one bottom, pull on it easily, and then you can see it's got just clips around this ring, and then these two, and the clips on the ring clip into this, and then these two go into the metal clips right there. Then on the glass itself, if you have heated mirrors, then you'll have these two connectors right here. Those just pull up. Be very careful because they are under very hard and you can damage the glass. And then if you have anti-dazzle, so auto dimming mirrors, then you'll also have this connector. And there's the glass. Okay, now on this side we want to remove the plastic piece that goes around the whole door, mostly because of this side. But to get it off, you got to start on this end. You lift this side up, and there's a tab that goes into the channel. So we want to get that without breaking it. So I want to kind of pull up to this side, get that out of the channel, this piece. Once we get that, this is all just sitting there. It's not clipped in or no screws. Just like that. There we go. So that comes off. All right, next we're going to remove the cover off the mirror so we have some access to the mirror. And that is also just on clips, so really the way you do it is just grab it on top and then you just got to pull really hard. Just like that. And then this will just come over. And then if you have side assist, you'll have a cable connector right here to disconnect. And then you have your turn signals in the mirror to disconnect. There's also a connector right back here. It's right there. Okay, so now we're going to install the camera into the housing. So it looks like to me the best spot would be to put it right here. Okay, so with the kit you have included your rubber gaskets. This is where the camera goes into. So that will go in through the hole. Once you drill the hole, it will go in through the bottom. The camera goes through it, but I like to put it inside first to kind of see where if it will fit. And to me, it looks like it fits just fine right in this space. So I already pre-drilled a pilot hole inside, just so I can kind of see a very small hole, so I can see kind of where it ends up and if I got it centered in that ring. So I actually ended up drilling 2, and so now I think I'm ready to drill the actual hole. With the kit you get a hole saw, and that looks like this. All right, here we go. And there's our hole. Looks pretty clean. It looks like a good position. Now we're going to take our grommet and install it in the hole. Now we're going to take one of the round cameras and install it in the mirror. So, just like this. And the camera just presses into the rubber, so there's no screws, there's no clips. So you want to make sure that the camera is pointing straight out away from the door. Okay, so this is what it looks like installed. After installing the camera, I actually realized that this surface wasn't as flat as I thought it was, so I ended up using the other grommet that's at an angle. So that one you can see it's at an angle. These other ones are flat. The original is flat. Okay, next I routed the cable in the back of the mirror alongside of the other cables right here. And then I'm going to leave the connector inside of here. Now, next we need to remove the mirror completely from the door. So if you look right behind this, there's stickers. And then behind both of these stickers, there's 10 millimeter screws or bolts that hold the mirror in. And then finally, we can remove the last screw, which is right here behind this rubber. This is rubber pieces on a single clip right here that goes in that hole, and then you can see there's a screw right there. And you want to remove the foam that's around the cable. Next, we want to disconnect the cable that runs to the mirror. So it's got 2 connectors on mine. There's this one that's kind of hidden underneath. You want to pull up on the red tab first, and then press on it. Press on the other tab and pull out the connector. And then we have a small one right here also. That one's just got a little tab that we gotta lift and then pull out. Like that. You gotta cut the zip tie that's over here. Clip that's right here. Okay, so now our mirror is free, and now we can just wiggle it slowly. And there we go. On the back of the mirror we have this rubber that we need to remove. So after removing the grommet here, you might be very tempted to actually feed the cable through here. We do have a hole right here, but if you ever end up folding your mirror, or if you have power folding mirrors and you fold it, this will cut it. So you definitely don't want to go that route. We do want to route that cable through here where the stock cables are going. We are going to take our red cable now, and that's for the left, and it does say left right here on the connectors. I know it's difficult to see, but it is right there. And we're going to feed the cable through the mirror. So we're going to start with this end, and we're going to put it in here and then feed it through. So we're going to put the connector just like this in there, in the hole, and I'm going to use a screwdriver. I'm going to be pushing on the connector, not on the cable. Just like this, until it goes as far as it can. Okay, so on this side of the mirror we actually have this foam piece right here that's pretty big, and you can just pull this out. It's just a foam piece, and once we do that, you can actually see the connector sitting right here. So all I did was push it through this hole, and now we have it on this side. Okay, so I've got that cable all the way through, so I'm going to leave it hanging right here, have this connected together, and then just zip tie it back here on the mirror. This cable is supposed to be tapped into the turn signals, but from my understanding they are picking that up from the CAN bus, so I'm not going to be tapping that into anything. I'm just going to cut it off, maybe like right here, and tape it and zip tie it. And then on this side you can see cables coming out over here along with the stock one, and I've already had it weaved through the... Also, I did leave a little bit of slack in there just in case when that mirror turns. I don't know what's happening in there, so I don't want it to get caught or pulled on and then ripped, so I did leave like just a little bit. Okay, so I installed the mirror back on. In the back, this is where I placed the cables, connected them, and then just zip tied them all together back here, making sure that they're as tight as possible. Make sure you leave room for your connector. I installed the mirror back on. I've also installed the trim back on. Everything here is back to its spot. Zip tied it all back together and then connected everything back. So now I've got the cable right here. We want to take the speaker off next because we were going to be running it into the door. So we start, there's a connector, clips on both sides, remove that. And then you've got screws all around. Those are all T25s. And then we can just remove the speaker. Next, if you want, you can actually push this grommet out. And then we want to poke a hole through this so we can feed our cable. And then literally just poke a hole. And now we can reinstall that grommet back into its spot. So next we want to disconnect the harness that connects to the body of the car. So right on top here we have this grommet, and it's just around a clip. So just want to pry that off. Just like that. So I'm not sure you can see that, but yeah, right there you've got clips. So there's 4 clips. Okay, next we have a tab that's right here on the connector. So we have to press that and then pull out the connector. Go. Next I'm going to pull this harness into the door and then pull it out through the speaker, and that's so that we have room to work on it. So I've pulled this grommet off of the harness already, but what we want to do is put your hand inside, and then you want to press at the bottom of that cover, just like that. It has tabs on the bottom. There we go. So there's these tabs. You want to, I pressed on them a little bit, and then on top it's just got a tab that doesn't press in and holds it in place. So now I'm going to wiggle it back inside. Okay, so I've got my camera cable right here, right? And then we have the harness. I'm simply going to route it through this piece right here. And then I'm going to poke a hole in rubber right here. Run it in, poke the hole in the grommet, weaved it through. It was pretty easy and very flexible. There's a little bit of room in there, so no problem. Cable's through. Okay, so now I'm going to take all these pieces off over here so I can reach the other side of that connector. So we start by taking this foot latch, or the handle for it. In the back there's going to be a clip that I need to pull on. So here's the clip. So I just needed to pry that out. And then now should be able to just wiggle the handle off of it. Yep, there we go. So that just comes off. The clip goes in right here. Then we have a screw right here. We'll want to remove the side piece here. That's just on clips. And then I'm going to remove this side one right here because that's over the other one. That's also on clips, most likely. There we go. Yep, so there's clips here. Here. Doesn't look like there's any anywhere else. Okay, I will need to probably move this one out of the way. There's a little bit of foam inside here, and then you can see there's a screw right in here. Now we can remove this out of the way. There we go. Now it's just clips, but I'm gonna leave it right there. Now, there we go. Alright, so now that we have this panel off, I'm going to want to remove the connector that's on the inside, on the car side. So to do that, here's what we want to do. So see the connector is sitting right here. It's got this purple tab on top. And what you want to do is you want to press it from the side here. You want to press it in. You'll see it click. Once it does that, then you'll be able to release it. So right on top, it has a tab. The black one on top, you press that. Once you do that, you'll be able to, there you go, and it goes inside. And now from this side, we do have right behind the carpet, we have the cable right here for it, and we can pull it back. There we go. There's the connector. Now, next thing that I would usually do is I would cut the cable and then I would pin it. I would get the pins and then put it inside of this connector. That way we have a nice clean way of passing it through. But my connector actually is full. There's actually only one spot right here available, and we need at least 4 wires to be able to go through it. So now what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to use the connectors that I mentioned in the beginning, the ones that I got, and I'm going to try and cut the cable right about here where the connector is, cut it and then pin it, and then add that connector here. That way if this ever gets disconnected, I can easily disconnect the camera right here. My goal is to try and see if I can fit that connector inside of this rubber boot inside of here. If I can't, then I will try to make it pass it into the hole into the car. So I'm going to leave it a little bit. I'm going to cut the cable. I'm going to leave a little bit of slack on it, probably like this much. That's about 2-3 inches. There we go. And now I'm going to strip it. We do have 3 wires in here, white, yellow, and red, and then also this free hanging one. That's probably the ground, so that one also has to be connected, otherwise it will not work. Okay, so I'm going to use this connector first, and with that one you get these pins. So we need 4, and so I'm going to cut them off right here. So the way that we pin these is, if you look on the pin itself, this side of it is where the wire gets connected right here. So you have the flaps that are in the back, and then the 2 flaps that are in the middle. The ones in the middle are the ones that will grab the wire, and then the 2 outside ones grab the jacket of the wire. So it looks kind of like this. You can kind of see that middle flaps, they were curled into the wire, and then the 2 outside ones are just hugging the insulation of the wire, keeping it snug against the pin. So that's what it should look like. So eventually, once you're done, this is what they should look like right there. I'm going to take this connector, and what you want to do is, you have this white piece on the back of it. You want to make sure that it's sticking out, that it's not pressed in. It should already be pulled out. If it's pressed in, then you want to take it out, because otherwise that's going to prevent these from going in. So I'm going to put these into the connector. It doesn't matter which order we go into, because we're really deciding here. So just going to push these in. Okay, once we have all the wires in there, now we can push this white piece on the back of it in, and that's extra locking mechanism to keep those tabs from coming out. So now I'm just going to do the same thing on the other side with this connector. Strip them and pin them. Okay, so same concept on this connector, same thing. Now that I've got them pinned, you want to make sure that the white tab is pushed out, and then insert them into the connector. And then this time we want to be following the same color code. So if we have this connector goes in like this, we want to match the wire. So first one on top that we have here is red, so we want to put red in on there, and then just keep doing that until we get all the wires in. And once we're done, press the little white tab in the back in. Alright, so now it's flat. Okay, so I've put this cable back in. We've got the cable sticking out on the side of it. And then I've also installed the other side of it into the car. So you can see it goes through the car. And I've installed the connector back in, so you can see that it comes out. There's a little bit of a space right there. That's where it's coming out, and I've installed the connector back. Alright, so this is kind of what I was thinking right there. See, I've got the 2 connected together, and I've pushed it inside of this, and now this cable just goes in. Running here, so I'm just going to pull that cable back now, and then try and plug this back in and install it back. Alright, so there we go. So I've got the connector stuffed inside of here. I've got this reconnected, all hooked back up, and everything's looking good. I've got that cable still running over here. On this side, I've got the cable coming out the hole, and I've got it zip tied right there. And now we can pretty much put all of this back together. Okay, so I have put everything back together, and so I have the front camera cable hanging right there, and then this one I kind of tucked away, and I'm going to route them both together over here on this harness right here, and then along this bar right here. Okay, so I've got the cables cleaned up. They're both running right there, over here, and over here, and I have them pretty much zip tied to harnesses that are existing, and then they're just running over here. Alright, so now I'm going to install the camera on the right side door mirror. So on this side, I'm not going to record the whole entire process because the process is going to be very similar. Practically 95% of it is going to be the same as the left door. However, I'm going to point out the small differences that you have between the left door and the right door. So on this door, the process is the same. We take off our trim. We've got a screw right there, and then on the handle here, the handle is a little different on the right side and on the left. If you remember, on the left side you had a pocket that went in here. On this side you have an actual handle. So what you do is use your plastic trim tool and then underneath dig into it, and then you've got this piece that will come off. It's just on clips. There's a clip here and then kind of a clip up top, but you can see in here you've got a screw way back in there, and then in this hole it's very, very deep. It's way back in there, and then you also do have the screw underneath, just like on the other side. Okay, so I've got the camera already installed. And there it is. I've already run the wires through the mirror, through the door, and down to the connector, just how we did it on the other side. So on this side I'm going to do it a little bit different, and that's because on this side we actually do have, as you can see right there, we have 3 spots to pin the cable and route it through the stock connector. So what I used on here, I already pinned them. I already added the pins to the cables. So I used the same exact pins that I used on that connector on the left door. They are exactly the same. I planned it exactly that way so that I don't have to buy different pins or different connectors. So they are exactly the same. So these will fit into the stock connector. So here I'm going to add it, and so what we have to do first is right here there's this purple tab. So we have to remove this purple tab, and you just use a screwdriver like this and then remove this, and then we are ready to insert the new wires into the connector. Okay, and there we go. Here's the camera wires added to the stock connector. So now we just put the purple locking tab back in. There we go, and we're done here. Okay, so now I need to add the cable on the other side, on the car side. First we need to take apart pretty much this piece right here, but to get to that, we have to take the pieces, trim pieces around it. So same thing here as the other side. You take this piece off. It's just on clips everywhere, so nothing's holding it really in. Take that out, pull this up. There's a T25 screw right there. Then we need to take off the panel on the side. Now we need to take this piece right here. That one's on clips also. Next we need to remove this plastic piece that's below the glove box, and that's just on clips. So I'll start it from the front. There you go. And just have a connector right here for the foot lighting. Very simple. Little tab and then pull out the connector. Okay, and now we're ready to remove this piece. First you start by removing this one up here. It's got a couple clips, so just like that. And we don't need to take out the whole thing, just the front. And then we can kind of grab it from the back, pull on it, and there we go. So this one's got a clip here, here, and that's about it. There's a piece right here that goes into the channel and underneath this. Okay, so now below, if you look below the glove box, we have this rubber piece right here. And if you look right up here, you can see you have a bunch of power wires. And then right in the corner, you see a black bundle of wires. That's our cable that runs to the outside connector. So we want to push, just like the other side, we want to push this purple connector, or this purple locking tab. Yeah, actually we want to pull it. Right on top you have a tab you press, and then that connector will fall into the body of the car. Okay, and then from this side we just grab our bundle of wires and we pull out that connector. Okay, so here is our connector. We can see that it has 3 slots to insert new wires, just like on the door side. So we want to do the same on this side. So we want to use 5, 6, 7, and 8. So the 4 on the right. And make sure that when you're inserting those wires that you match the collars for crimped. And now we insert it into our connector. With this connector, same concept as the others. You have a purple locking tab that has to be pulled out first before you can insert the contacts. I've inserted the contacts into the connector. You can see that we have pins on this side now, and we are pretty much done. So now don't forget to reinsert the purple tab that was over here. And then now I'm just going to take everything and put it back together, and that is it for the right side. Okay, so next we're going to be installing the rear camera, and we're going to start with the side pieces, plastic pieces right here. We want to take those down. You want to start with the middle one, and right here in the middle you have a screw, so you want to take that off first. And then the piece is on clips, so we just pull on it. And there we go, there was a clip here, there's one right here. And there's here and here. The clips stay in, where are they? Right here. So later they have to get pulled out. Next we want to take the 2 side piece plastic trim on the side, and if you look right over here, there's a screw that's a T25. Next we take these off. These are just on clips. Clip right here, and then the other one stayed in the body, and there's a little one over here. Next we're going to take these light covers. You want to open this little hatch right here just by hand. And now we're going to take out a bunch of screws. So in the pockets where the lights are, there's a screw right there. It's a Torx screw. Same thing on the other side, right there. We also have in the hatch, we have a screw right there and one right here. And then on this side where the pockets are, there's one here, 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 and here. Once all the screws are out, we can close this for now, and then we just start pulling on the plastic entire trim. Okay, so when you're removing the cover, definitely use both of your hands because this thing is heavy and it plummeted to the ground like a rock. So there's clips right here. This one stayed in the body. One right there, one right there. This one also stayed in the body, and one right there. You do have a connector here for the light, and then you do have another one right here which is for your switch. Okay, I removed the switch from the trim because I need it to be connected back to the car, and it just has clips on both sides, one right here and one right here that you press on and the switch comes out. But I need to lower the hatch so I can see the camera. And the camera is located right there. Okay, so from the inside, the first thing we want to do is disconnect the connectors that are connected to the handle. So this one is the handle and the lights, the license plate lights, and then this is your video from the backup camera. So this connector right here, there's a little tab right underneath here that is holding that connector in. So I'm going to press it with my pick and kind of pull on it, and there we go. So that came out. There's that little tab right there, and then the video connector, it's got a tab on the bottom. Press that, pull out the connector. So there's the tab. This right here is what you got to press. Next, we've got these covers that are going over the lights, the license plate lights. So there's a 10mm here and a 10mm on the other side. Same thing with the other light. There's one right here and one right there. So we want to take those out. Once you get these off, the nut is attached to this little bell right there, and that goes over here. Then on this side, this one is welded to the cover, and then these just come off. Next, we want to remove this screw next to the camera plug right here. That's a T20. You have a little bracket that's now hanging here. That just comes out. Next, you can take the camera out. You can just grab it like this. And that comes out. So now what I want to do is I want to remove this whole entire piece. And this thing is stuck to the tailgate. So I'm pushing on it from the inside. And I'm going to keep doing that until it slowly releases and it comes out. Alright, so here's the whole entire piece out. And I can see why I didn't want to come out. There's clips on top, or one right there and one right there. So you got to press on that slightly. And then I had to press on my license plate, push it down because it was in the way, but I was able to get this out without trouble. So here's where the stock camera goes. And we're going to try to figure out how to put the new one in here. Well, so this camera is very thick. I think if we had if the back camera was just the same as it is in the front, where it's not so thick here, it kind of looks, more like this, where the lens is sticking out, then that would be perfect for this. So if we had another one like in front, but would work, but we don't. So I think what I'm going to do is, essentially, when I put this in, it fits in the cavity in here, but you can see that it doesn't, the lens is pretty far away. So I think I'm going to use a Dremel and then grind away some of the material that's inside, so this camera then sits flush, a little bit more forward and flush with the trim. Yeah, so I took a Dremel and I cut away the inside wall. Use the Dremel, but then also I used the drill bit that looks kind of like this, and that gave me like a really nice fine wall. And that thing is sealed. I filled that thing full of glue, hot glue, and I promise you that is not going anywhere, and there is not going to be leaks from this. But anyways, from far away, it looks just fine. Okay, so now I'm going to put this all back together. I'm just going to work my way back in reverse order. Your stock camera cable this, just put some tape around it and then just zip tie it. And then next we're going to run the cable for this. So the stock harness runs along the left side. However, I want to run the cable on the right side. So I'm going to run it over here along this. This is the tube for your rear washer that sprays your window. So I'm going to run the cable along all of this down here. Okay, so I've got the cable installed. So I've got everything plugged back in. Here's the stock camera cable taped up. I zip tied everything. Got the cable running over here, connected to the long cable. The red wire doesn't need to be connected to anything, so taped up and tucked away as well. And then I ran the cable all the way down here. Alright, tailgate is all back together. Now I also put this side piece back on. I let this all open. We got the cable right here right now. So we want to go down here into this and down here. So we want to take this off first. This piece that's right here, that's just on clips. We can grab it from the back and just pull on it. There we go. Got 3 clips. 1, 2, 3. Nothing else. And now we can remove this. This is just on clips that hug the hinge. So you just got clips right here, but nothing really meaningful. Now we can see right here, there's also a torque screw. So we're going to take that out. On the back of this piece, we have the little clip that's right here that says airbag on it, and that's a clip. So we're going to use our plastic tool, and then inside of there is a torque screw. Now we are able to take this and kind of push it aside. We don't really have to take the whole thing out. We just need room to get in there and see the bundle of the tube that's coming from the hatch. Next, we're going to come down here. You have a little cover. There's no pull tab on it, but you use your plastic pry tools. You've got 2 clips right here, one right there and one right there. And there's also clips down here and right over there. There's one right here. So you want to pull the top ones away first and then pull the bottom ones out. We don't need to take this away. Mine's got air suspension, so it's got a button there and then an outlet, but we don't care. So now the whole idea is that we're going to take this cable, we're going to run it along the tube. Make sure you run it along the whole entire tube that you have inside of here, because when this hatch closes, this goes inside and bends with the hatch. So you want to run the cable all along this as far as you can go. I'm probably going to go like right up to here, and then I'm going to turn that cable around and go down here, fish it inside of here, and then come out over here. Okay, so I've got my cable right down here now. So if we go back up here, you can see the cable's over here. I ran it all along that tube like I talked about. Right here, zip tied, goes in here. You can kind of see, and then right up here, you can tell back there that it curves and it goes back into back there. I pushed it as deep as I could just so it's out of the way and it won't get caught on anything. This is your sunroof drain, so that's where water drains from the sunroof in this tube. So I just zip tied it to this tube all the way down, and you can see zip tied down here. Okay, so we have that cable here. Now I need to run it to the front coming out of here. So I already took a few things apart. So first of all, I did take this cover off that was here. You've got the outlet plug. That one's just got a tab, pull it out. Connector for air suspension if you have it. Tab right here, pull that out. That was here, and that one was here. Took that out. I also took out this little panel that's right here. That one is held right here and back here by the cargo net holders, hooks, whatever you want to call them. And these have 2 torque screws inside. These are pretty big. These are probably like T30, maybe T35, something like that. Okay, so you take those out. So once you take the screws out, this piece just sits there. It doesn't have any clips or anything on it. And then once you take those out, this just kind of pops out. There's no clips or anything, so it just sits there as well. This comes out, and we're trying to kind of gain access behind this panel. On the passenger side, rear door, I took this panel out right here. So here you just put your hand in here and then you pull on it. It's got 4 clips, so this one stayed in the body right there, 3 and 4. So you want to pull this way and then just pull it out. Towards the back, it's got these clips that don't clip into anything. They just go into the carpet, like behind the carpet, and they just stay there. So okay, and then this panel that's right here, I just pulled on it a little bit, and then it's got a clip right here. It goes in that hole, and then that's really all I'm gonna do. I'm just trying to gain a little bit of access and room so that I can run that wire behind this panel right here. And then finally, I actually want to take this panel, this whole entire panel on the side here, and I already did take it apart, but right here is where the screw is. So right in there, first you have this little cover that covers that screw, so it's just on little clips. So just use your plastic tool or something. I used a small screwdriver as well to get that out, and then you just have a torque screw sitting right in there. Take that out. Once you do, I just pulled on the panel, and there's a couple clips over here on the side. This one fell out. I heard it fall. Aside from that, you do have one right here as well, and one right there. And there was a connector right here. This is our light, trunk light, so connector right here. This one didn't really have anything to press. I just pulled on it and it came out, and that's it. So now where you have access to run our cable, right underneath here, I believe this is the amplifier for the speaker. So there is a bundle of wires underneath here, under this like foam stuff, and that's where I plan to run it, because there is actually there's air ducts right here that run to the vents, so I want to keep it away from that. I don't want it running on top, just in case when this gets really hot, so it doesn't do something to the wire. So I'm going to put it under the foam where that harness is running underneath there. Okay, so I've got the cable right here, going back here. I tossed it behind the amplifier over there, and then here I pulled back the foam, and that cable is running right in here, and it's just running here behind that. And then we can see it from the other side, right here behind the foam. That cable is here, and coming down the harness on the side. Okay, so now we got the cable here. We're going to run it all along the door, the bottom of the door, and then over here, and then under the glove box, and then to the RSNav. So on both passenger doors, we have this cover that sits right here. It's just on clips, so you can just use your plastic pry tool. As you can see, clips all along the whole side. Pry on that, and then inside here is this foam piece. It's legit foam that just comes out, and then you have screw right here, screw right there. And then same thing on the passenger front door. This cover was already taken out from before. Take out the foam, same thing, screw right there. And this one I already had taken out when I was installing the side camera. So this piece is all together with the back one, so it's all one piece. It's all on clips. You can start over here and just start pulling on it. This is kind of, this bottom piece is underneath this top piece, so I'm going to try to just kind of get it out of the way without having to actually take the whole thing out, because I don't think it will. So I took household wire, this one that's solid, and it's very stiff. So I ran it right inside here, and there's this right here is where a harness runs, and then you have heating ducts right here, so you kind of want to stay away from that. So I kept it all the way down against the floor, and then I was able to come out on this side right here, and you can see that this goes right underneath there. The harness there came out right next to it. And there we go. I got that cable running along here, runs in underneath. And then you can see it comes out here. Got it going along here. Okay, so I've got the trim all put back together here, and here's both of my wires for cables, I mean, for the rear and right camera. But what I did notice is that the rear camera, which is the yellow one, is very short. This is all I have pretty much left, so it kind of just reaches over here, and we still have a short distance to go to the screen up top. And even though the cable that plugs into the back of the RSNav, which is this side, and this is where your camera plugs in, you do have, you know, about a foot or so of cable here, but that's still not enough to get us there. So what I'm going to do is I'm just simply going to cut it and extend the cable. I happened to order extra of the connectors that I used to pass through the door on the left side. So I'm just going to use these, and I'm glad I ordered extras. I'm just going to use these. I'm going to cut the cable right about here, and then add the connectors onto them, and then extend it just a few feet so that I can actually reach the RSNav. Okay, so here's what I did. I cut the cable because it was short. I pinned it, put the connector on it, and then I essentially at some point put another connector on it, and then here's the other end of that cable. So I just happened to have a similar cable laying around, so I added that, so now it is super long and I have the extra length that I need. So next I'm going to take, so I took these wires and I actually routed them up here, so I just tucked them in, or actually weaved them through here, and I'm going to run them up here and then all the way from here, and there's plenty of space there. That's actually where I have the RSNav antennas running, so I'm going to do the same thing, run the cables here. They're going to be running along here, and you can see in the back right there is where I had the cables tucked away from the front and left camera. Here they are. So there's those two. Okay, and there we are. We've got the rear and right camera coming out right here. So all the cameras are right here and they are ready to be plugged in. So RSNav comes with this cable. You have the white connector that plugs into RSNav, and then you will have the cameras right here. So those will then get plugged in to each one of the cables that we just brought from all the cameras. So just follow the colors: yellow to yellow, blue to blue, red to red, and black to black. Okay, so once you're done installing the 360 cameras, the final step that you have to do to complete this is the calibration. So there's two ways of doing this. You can do it the automatic way or the manual way. So when I did this on my S5, I did it the automatic way, and there you buy cloths that have patterns on them and you lay them out around the car, and then you just press a button and the car will essentially calibrate itself. On this one though, I'm going to do it the manual way and show you how to do that. So for this, what we have to do is we have to lay out patterns around the car. I'm going to use the most basic pattern that RSNav comes with. There are many patterns, and some of them get very complicated with checker board patterns and so on. I'm going to use the simplest one, which simply has 4 squares in each corner of the car. So this is essentially the pattern that we want to lay out. You want to place this pattern in front of the car, and you also want to place it in the back of the car. So you can see right here, I've got a square laid out right here, a square right here, and then you can also see in the back I also have a square there, and then I did it also on the other side. So instead of actually putting black squares on the ground, you don't actually need those. You just need to know where each corner of that black square is. And once we get inside to calibrate, you'll see why. So what I did is I bought these rubber discs on Amazon, and they're very flexible. I bought the discs because first of all, they're a little bit weighted, so when you put them on the ground they don't fly away with wind, and they're pretty easy to see. You know, they're like 4 inches wide. I tried doing like washers, small items, and you couldn't even see it on the camera when I was calibrating it. So you need something with surface area. This is about 4 inches, and I've already tried it before and it works. So we're going to place these squares in each corner of the car. Each one needs to be 1 meter by 1 meter. You're going to place them apart 2.2 meters, and like I said, 1 meter by 1 meter. And you want to make sure that they're square, and then they show you this pattern when it's shown. You've got the black square, and then they also have like the white part of it. They show 100 millimeters, which is 10 centimeters. So what I did is I placed these 2 squares a total of 470 millimeters from the front bumper, bumper of the car. So when you're doing this, you want to make sure that if you look down at all of these dots are lining up, these are lining up with the back ones, and then same thing this way. You want to make sure that they're lining up. It took some time to do this and laying them out, but I measured from the car and from the wheels, and I made sure that they are pretty square. So once you lay these out, there's also one more thing that we have to do, is we have to take some measurements. And then we're going to input those measurements into the RSNav. So first measurement that you need is the distance from the front bumper to the white area of your calibration, which is, you know, right here. So distance from the bumper to this white area. And so like I said, I set it at 370. So that's one measurement, and that's going to be the EG measurement. Next, we need to measure the width of the car. So you're going to measure it from this side to this side right there. And that's the AB measurement. Next, you're going to measure the length of the car. So you're going to measure from the front of the bumper all the way to the back of the bumper. and that is the AD and BC measurement. Then you want to measure the wheelbase, and the wheelbase is from the center of the rear wheel to the center of the front wheel. That's the wheelbase. Then you want to measure the track width, and the track width is going to be from the center of your tire to the center of the other tire, and you want to do that both for the front and the back. And then finally you want to measure the overhang for the front and the rear, and the overhang is from the center of the wheel to the front of the bumper, so right there, that's for your front. And then you're going to do the same for the rear, from the center of the rear wheel to the back of the back bumper. Okay, once we're done with all the measurements and laying out our patterns, we're going to get inside the car, and then we're going to open the 360 app. So find the 360 app, and there we go. We're then going to go to the settings, so press the 3 dots in the right corner. We're then going to go to calib, which is the calibration. You'll get a message, you can close this, and then you can press the arrow right here to close the camera view. And right here is where it wants you to choose the pattern that you're going to use to calibrate. So you have arrows on the left and right side, and here are, you know, all the patterns. So we're going to use the one, the basic one with the squares in each corner of the car. Press confirm. We can now press cancel on this message to close that. So if you look, you have two menus. You have calibration parameter and then car model. So we're going to expand the calibration parameter, and then you have some settings here that we're going to input. We're going to leave the lens and sensor just as they are, and then you're going to enter the front offset, the length of the car, and the width of the car. So that's what these are. So those were the first 3 measurements that we took. Once we're done with the calibration parameters, we're going to close that menu, and then we're going to open car model. And then this is where we're going to enter all of our other measurements that we took. So you've got the car length, car width, wheelbase, front track, front overhang, rear track, and rear overhang. And you want to make sure that you enter these in millimeters. So don't enter them in inches. You don't want to do meters, centimeters. They all have to be converted to millimeters. And that actually includes the first ones that I talked about. Those as well should all be millimeters. Okay, once we have entered all of our measurements, then we're going to go and press manual calibration. And so what it did right there is it took images all around the car, and now is where we're going to do the actual calibration. So you can see that you've got all of these markers just randomly sitting out there. So what you want to do is you want to grab them and you want to point them to where all of your markers are for the squares. So you can drag each one of these, but if you want to get it super precise, you can then use this right here, and you're going to press the arrows, and that's going to get it precisely where your marker is. So right there, so you can see that the marker is now exactly selected. So we're going to do that for all of these. Usually what I do is I bring them as close as possible, and then I go back and I adjust them finally. There we go. You can also click next point, and that will simply jump you to the next one. Okay, so once I'm done selecting all of my markers, this should essentially look like this, and then you're going to press confirm, and this will take you to another screen, and then this other screen will also you see all the markers and you have to adjust them. It looks like it automatically tries to find them, but sometimes it doesn't get them exact, so you have to then make some corrections. But you're going to essentially do the same thing. You can see this one's pretty good. This one, maybe just a fine. This one is almost there. This is good. Okay, and then confirm. And we're going to continue doing this until throughout all the screens. So there's going to be quite a few screens, and you're going to have to select these. So it's going to do the front, the rear, the sides. It's going to do the corners. So there's going to be many screens, and you just keep doing that. Keep setting the points, and then confirming. Here's another one finished. Another one. Okay, so one thing that I want to touch on is you might get to a screen where these points are just like right on top of each other, and then you're like, well, where should they go? Like, which corner should they go into? So the way that they work is they always start out in this corner. So this is first, and then this is second, third, fourth, and then same thing on this side. You start this, then this, this, and then this. So if you're ever unsure which marker goes where, like here, I have no idea which one should belong where, just simply drag them apart and then go back to the first one and then just click through them, and they should start from the top left, go across, and then come back like here, and then here, and then it should jump to this one. Okay, so you can see that's wrong. This belongs here. So let's go back to this again. Okay, so there's that one. Okay, so this one belongs here. Next, okay, that one belongs here, and then here. So we can just go through and okay, here, 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 here. There we go. So that's the correct placement of those markers. Okay, so the rear is done. Sides are done. Okay, you may also get to a point where, as you can see, you have all your 4 markers right here, which no problem, you can drag them to where they go. But on this side, see, there's only 3, and then the 4th one is not there. And that's because the 4th one is actually behind this, and there's no way to like go and grab it. So the way that I always do it is pick one and then just keep cycling through it, and then right there it disappeared. You can see that it's pointing to a picture behind this. So now you just simply you'll have to use the arrows to scroll it, and then we can see right here it's starting to show. So that's how I get some of these that automatically ended up behind this the arrow adjustment. Left side is done. Corners are done. And there we go. Calibration success. Okay, so now we can back out of the menu. Now we just look at the image. So starting with the bird's eye view, it looks pretty good. The image is fairly square, like it should be. My sidewalk does curve because I'm in a cul-de-sac. So overall it looks good. And then if I go into one of these menus where I can pan around the car, so I am parked on the driveway and the garage is in front of me, so that's going to look odd, but I want to essentially check out the areas around me. So like the ground, I do have the car parked behind me as well, so that's going to look odd, but I'm looking at all of this, and this is essentially what it looks like. I can see that the ground and everything looks exactly how the outside looks, so I'm pretty happy with how this is, and I'm going to leave it like this. So this is pretty much it. That's all we have to do, and at this point just enjoy it.